We've got a 66 Chevy 3/4 ton 8-lug pickup that's going to lay frame, and it's going to have well over 1,000 horsepower.
It will be this clash of old, rusty, disgusting farm truck with absolute state-of-the-art equipment underneath.
Hey everyone, Kevin here, and thanks for watching The Bottom Line. If you don't know already, this series is about custom lower trucks. And speaking of, we're at a place that's a little bit different for that community. We're at Banks, and we have Gale Banks here.
I'll bring you right up to date. We're doing a video series called Banks Built. And in that video series, we've got a 66 Chevy 3/4 ton 8-lug pickup that's going to lay frame, and it's going to have well over 1,000 horsepower. It's going to be a blown Duramax. This is kind of counterintuitive because all this stuff turbocharged today, but I love the looks of the blower. I love the response of the blower. I love the Whipple blower itself that I'm going to use, and this will be a liquid intercooled, supercharged 7-liter Duramax, and we're going to turn that thing some RPM as well. So, but the deal here is airbags and laying frame, and then being able to put it up to race level, call it, and just brutalize everybody. This thing is so rusty, so rusted out. I named it LokJaw.
So cool to hear about this new project you have going on. I've seen some of the photos and everything, but what I want to know is, I mean, you've had a lot of experience with diesel, and maybe for guys in our community, in the lower truck scene, their go-to is like small block or LS,
yes.
You know, it's gas motors. What would be the draw, like, you know, gas versus diesel? Like, what are the points of each, and why would somebody look towards either one of them? Which one would outweigh in any direction?
Well, it depends on the size of the truck you're building. We're doing a Banks crate motor series with these Duramaxes. So the whole idea here is it's different. I mean, you guys are doing hot rods. Hot rods are self-expression. Diesel is just hammer and tongs. It's like torque city. But you've never had high RPM, high horsepower. Well, we're kind of reducing the torque slightly and increasing the horsepower by a factor of 3 or 4. So going well over 1,000 horsepower. It's not for mini trucks, that's for sure, but there's a lot of earlier model trucks, and there's a lot of guys that are into restoring our classic trucks, including military vehicles. There's a whole bunch of guys doing that. These engines, these Banks Duramax badass engines, fill all that bill. The LS has been done, and its predecessor, the small block Chevy, and its predecessor, the flathead Ford V8. It's like you get 30, 40 years of these engines. The flatheads had their decades, small block Chevys had its decades, although I have a twin turbo 1115 horse build going on right now with a 454 SS that I've got. I have another 454 SS, and it's going to get a diesel. It's going to get the V8 diesel, just because it's sick and wrong. The average person would look at me or you and say, really? Are you going to actually do that? Well, that's a reaction you're looking for, isn't it?
So you have a long history of lots of performance and putting that in vehicles. Now, one question I have to ask is, you know, are there any weak points talking about getting that power to the ground and keeping that traction?
Yeah, generally the weak points of the transmissions. Once you solve that, then it's traction. My 454 SS pickup with 1,100 horsepower, I couldn't put it down. So I used Nitto drag radials on the street. Surprisingly, I'd get 4,000 or 5,000 miles, and I was on it all the time. They hooked up. As far as cornering and things like that, today I own a Cadillac CT6V, which is all-wheel drive, all-wheel steer, twin turbo, all this. It's running what I call Nitto triple nickels, the 555s. That thing corners like you can't believe. The Nittos are so supreme, I cannot even tell you.
I mean, that's some validation right there. I mean, these tires absolutely work. You've heard on the series a bunch of times, but let's go check out that project and see what they got cooking. All right, so as Gale said, he's got a new project that's going to be showcasing the new package that they have going on. And we have Jay here, and he's spearheading that project. Jay, what do you have going on here?
First off, I think I have rust and dirt on my back from leaning against this thing.
Hey, you might not take all of it away. You might not have a project anymore as it looks.
So this is our very rusty 1966 big window Chevy C20 3/4 ton pickup. And it's a long story, but we got it for $1. It cost us more to actually register this truck than it did to buy it. Anyway, so we got it. It's a long bed, single cab, as you can see. And someone in 1999 dropped in a Mr. Goodwrench 350 that runs well. But we're known for diesels. We're going to do diesels. We're going to do a diesel on this one, and it's going to be supercharged. Why? Because, as Gale said, because it's bitchin', and that's really what this is about. So what we're going to do is everything. I mean, literally, the only thing that will be left on this truck is the cab and the bed. Everything else will be brand new.
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to assume that, yeah, it's not going to have just a motor in it and it's done, because you got to have something to show. I mean, I think it's going to SEMA, right, to the SEMA show. So what are the other details? I mean, how are you going to make this thing cool?
Oh my God. Well, first off, it's an engineering firm. Gale is going to engineer, along with the mechanical engineering team and the electrical engineering team. It will be a highly engineered engine, and ultimately you'll be able to buy this engine. We'll have several variations: turbo, supercharged, super turbo, and we're going to take everyone along the journey as we build the engine, design it, and place it in here. But it'll have an Allison 1000 transmission supplied by ATS Diesel up there in Arvada, Colorado, with billet input shaft. I mean, it really is going to be a stout transmission. We have a new fuel system coming in. We have some custom metal work by our friends at Empire Fabrication, so some beautiful bead roll panels both in the engine bay. But what is going to make this thing unique visually is, so that the name LokJaw, oh wait, let me show you something. We just got this Friday. So
oh, those are sick.
Thank you to the California Department of Corrections right here. They got this to us. We ordered that right before COVID. Anyway, so we got our plate. Rusty, tetanus, LokJaw, you get that.
I absolutely love the plate, but I want to know, is this thing going to be like painted? I mean, is it going to stay, you know, rusty and crusty? What are the plans for the exterior of it?
It's going to stay rusty. And I'm actually concerned that when we pull the body off the frame, that it will fall apart, because it does have all the rust you'd expect, like in the drip rails and in the quarter panels. But what we're going to be doing visually is we're going to probably use CLR or something, clean this up, but we're going to leave it really rust. This is not fake patina. This is legit. We're going to hinge the hood open this way, and we're going to split the bed along this parting line right here, and we're going to create a dump bed out of it. So it'll have a raised bed floor, allowing for the new suspension, the Roadster Shop chassis. It will be a wood bed floor, as you'd expect to see. It will have a bead rolled bottom section right about here, and then we'll have a frame that will keep it all rigid. So when this lifts up, you'll look down, you'll be able to see the chassis, the rear end, the custom strange rear end. You'll see the bag system. Everything will be on display. A lot of hard lines will go into it, so there'll be a lot of attention to detail, but it will be this clash of old, rusty, disgusting farm truck with absolute state-of-the-art equipment underneath.
So you mentioned Roadster Shop and airbags, so I would assume this thing's going to be slammed on the ground, but has there been any hurdles with that?
The biggest issue is getting it to stay 8-lug, to be quite honest. Typically these trucks, the C10s, are all 5-lug. and we had to go out and fabricate custom front 8-lug spindles and a custom 8-lug rear end, and we based it on a Ford 9-inch. Now, we would have liked to do, if you look around, we've got a lot of full-size trucks that are using American axles with big 11.5-inch ring gears that are made for towing the whole thing, but we figured there was a lot more flexibility if we went down to a Ford 9-inch. There are a million parts for Ford 9-inches, so we reached out to our friends at Strange, because they work with Roadster Shop, who built our chassis, and they came up with a custom 8-lug rear end based on their 9-inch system, and we're looking forward to dropping that into the Roadster Shop chassis.
Wow, so you mentioned that this thing's gonna be 8-lug, which is a little bit different for Slam trucks. I have seen them before, but they are very uncommon. So tell me a little bit about the wheel and tire packages. Has to match up to everything on this.
We're doing 22s front and rear, and we're doing Black Rhino wheels. Black Rhino has become, they're huge in the off-road space. Not so much here, but we're doing some very militaristic looking wheels, something you'd see on like an MRAP. And that ties in loosely with Banks Tech, our sister company that provides all of the engines for the Joint Light tactical vehicles. So there's a kind of for people who know the Banks history, they'll see kind of the military tie-in. They've got the bolts that go all the way, the nuts that go all the way around the circumference of the wheel. Anyway, those are going to be 22s front and rear, 8.5s in the front, and 11.5 on the rear. And then of course we're doing Nitto, we'll do the Invos in the front, and we're doing the triple nickels, as Gale calls them, in the back, the NT555 R2s. That's a competition drag radial, just over 12 inches wide on the rear. Any wider and we'd slam into the chassis.
So it seems like you got everything in order for the exterior and the way this thing's gonna look, but is anything gonna change on the interior? And what about creature comforts?
Yeah, creature comforts are important when you're cruising through the desert at over 100 degrees out. So we're doing vintage air to blow some icy cold air at our faces. And then where you've got a TMI interior. So they're doing a custom 2 bucket seats, center console. And then most important to me, the driver will be the readout. We're doing a Motec 7-inch display and data logger, and it will be tied into the Motec ECM controlling our Duramax diesel.
Wow, it sounds like you have all the ingredients for a good recipe for a nice banging truck that's gonna hit the Vegas showroom floor and just be a real winner. So thanks for making the time out and showing us around and everything. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give us a like. If you have any questions or any comments about anything, drop it in the comment section below. And make sure you don't miss a video by hitting that subscribe button. And if you do so, we'll catch you next time.